Hello there and welcome to this vlog of March 2023. I wasn't planning on doing a video this week, but something happened yesterday which I felt compelled to discuss on here because this is going to be quite a negative video, which for me, if you've watched me before, you'll know that's quite unusual. I'm usually quite upbeat and positive, especially on new news that comes out. But the news that dropped yesterday, I'm quite frankly completely meh about. It's taken the wind out of my sails a little bit, if that's the correct terminology. I was so upbeat for the Kickstarter that's dropping in. Well, I still am really. So it's in a couple of weeks, but this news just really confused me, and I don't know what Catalyst are trying to do here. So I know there are other channels that will just give a synopsis of the news. They do that a lot better than I do as well because they edit videos. But this is going to be more my commentary on the news that we've got and why I think it's a bad decision. Not horrible or anything. It's not terminal or horrifying or anything like that. It's just odd, and I think it's a bit of a momentum killer going into the next Kickstarter. And I don't know if anyone else feels that way. I might be in the absolute minority here, but I'll give you my reasoning on a lot of these products that they're coming out, and you can then take that as you wish, as the contrarian viewpoint, if you want to do so. So on the screen here, you'll see this is from the BattleTech news channel, forum, whatever you want to call it. They've started to drop news pretty regular on a Friday. Well, it'll be morning, afternoon for the US, and it's evening for us. So it usually drops at about 6 or 7 o'clock UK time, I've noticed. They've been doing this for a while now, which is good. It's good consistency in terms of people checking on the news and what new products are available and what's going on, things like that. And there's been a lot of rumours about what Catalyst are going to do with this unknown force pack that they've been talking about, and things like the Snords Irregulars, which we've known about for a while now because there was a line of copy in one of the previous news releases saying that we were getting something to do with the Snords Irregulars. It has transpired it is a force pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through. I'll talk through everything on this news site. It won't take me too long. There is quite a bit, but some of it I'll skip over quite quickly. Some of it I want to go a little bit more in depth though. There are 3 new force packs on the horizon. So it all seems to be sitting outside of the Kickstarter. So these are all things that you can get at retail. They go at great lengths as well to keep emphasizing it's not exclusive. So it's not that you can only buy these packs from Barnes and Noble. You should be able to get these everywhere. I think they keep saying as of late spring. So what you're talking May time, something like that, that any of the force pack products that we're talking about here should be available. So let's get into it anyway. So the first one here, we've got and this is probably my main issue, and I may well be in a massive, well, I don't want to say that I'm in a minority opinion, so I'm pretty sure that quite a few people will agree with me on this, but I think the general consensus among the fan base when they see a product like this is just to get really excited. I'm now going to tell you why I'm not excited by this. I've not watched any other media or YouTube reviews, news channel updates about the Proliferation Pack. I've not been on any of the forums, so I don't know what other people are saying, to be honest. But this is my take on it, for what it's worth. First of all, let's talk about the copy here. So Proliferation Pack, I don't like that at all as a phrase. I think it's bad marketing. Proliferation is not a commonly used word. It's something where it's correct within the context of what this pack is, but there are too many syllables. It's a word that is just. 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 It's a word that is just you know, like it's clunky and it's not well used in like vernacular. So I think if I was going to call this anything, it would have absolutely 100% have been the Origin pack. That makes much more sense to me. Proliferation, just yeah, not a fan of that. I think it's confusing as well, especially for like new players. They'll be like proliferation. What? Like, I'm not talking about what the word means. I'm just talking about in the context of BattleTech. This is though an Origins pack. So you can see here. I'm not going to zoom in on them because it might mess up all my like settings or whatever. So you can actually go onto this, I think, and have a closer look at it if you wish to do so. So price point comes in at $45 approximately, which is good. I mean, I always think BattleTech have got wonderfully priced forces. You know, 7 mechs for $45 is, to me, really reasonable. It contains, I'll just go through the list. So it's the Maki, the Ymir, the Battle Axe, the Gladiator, the Icarus 2, the Flyby, and is it the Coyotl? Coyotl? I think that's how you pronounce it. If you are unaware, now I'm pretty sure you will be aware because I can't imagine that anyone finds my channel who's not a big BattleTech fan, so you'll know this, absolutely no doubt. But I'll just run through it in case someone is unaware. The Maki, which is the mech on the far left here, this is the first ever battle mech. So this was like the prototype used, which they then went on to develop. It was and I always struggle with this word, the Terran hegemony. There's many different ways you can say that. They're no longer a power that exists in the kind of modern eras within BattleTech. They're very much like a law historical force. Very powerful though. So they created the Maki. What then happened? I'm not going to go into massive detail here, but all the inner sphere like political powers, like the Capellans, the Fed Sons, they all basically, through espionage or trade or whatever, I don't know the full story, they all got access to the blueprints on how to make a battle mech, and then they all did their own. And that's these mechs here. I think one of these mechs as well, yeah, I mean, it says there specifically, the volume also includes the story of the first Clan Omni-Mechs. I'm not sure, one of these may be a Clan Omni-Mech, I'm not sure. They're not, this kind of segues me into my issue with these mechs, that I just think that like this set is very much for your hardcore BattleTech fan. Now, even me, and I am very much a hardcore BattleTech fan. I mean, the amount of money and time that I spend on it is probably a psychologist may say worrying. Reading the books and on playing the game and doing these videos and things like that. It swallows up quite a lot of my time. But I'm looking at this even as a hardcore fan and being like, what is the point in this pack? I mean, other than it being like, I mean, okay, I'll caveat this by saying you can use all these mechs in your forces. Like, there are updated versions of these mechs. If you're playing like in the Clan Invasion era, you absolutely can, put these mechs into your packs, into your forces. It's not standard though, and these are not mechs that are common in BattleTech. If you kind of look at it like, if you go to like the Harebrained Schemes game, that's pretty much like a 101 in all the core BattleTech like mechs that you'd be familiar with of that 3025 era. So things like the Atlas, the Marauder, the Archer, things like that. Then you go into like MechWarrior 5. They've done like recent updates as well, so you can now get like the Crusader and the Hatchet Man in the DLC. But generally speaking, their kind of list of mechs is the core mechs that we associate with BattleTech, if you want to put it that way. These mechs, though, are mechs that you've probably read about in the lore, if you've read like the TROs or, like books about the Terran hegemony. So, you've got to realize that they are within the context of BattleTech a thing, but they're historical. And I'm not sure, like, again, from a commercial standpoint, why they felt it necessary to put out what is a really, like, extravagant force pack. Yeah, like, it's the most mechs they've ever done in a force pack, so it's 7. That it's not something that ties in with, like, the modern. marketing. So, for instance, like if you were going to market, like say, like a Fedcom or a Draconis Combine Lance pack, that's really relevant to BattleTech. That's everywhere. So if you see that like Karita Dragon, you know that that's BattleTech, right? And if you see then that that pack contains a dragon, a panther, a Jenna, and a Hatamoto Chi, you know that is very much distinctly a Draconis Combine set. You can make the artwork look really cool. You know, I mean, just imagine that one day you go into like Barnes and Noble and you've got like all the 5 Inner Sphere powers. You know, blue. You've got a blue Steiner box. You've got an orange Fedcom box. You've got a green Capellan box, and you could put the clans in there as well. Obviously, like a brown Clan Wolf or a bright green Jade Falcon, things like that. That's part of the core like commercial aspects of BattleTech that sells, that we all know. Just even if you're on like a absolute rudimentary beginner in the BattleTech journey, you're going to know who the Fed Sons are, or the Steiner, or how Steiner are, or whatever. With this though, I'm looking at it and I'm being like, this is something that is for like your intermediary, advanced people within BattleTech, and even then, like how many players play at like this at this level of tech? I mean, actually, you can get upgrades for these mechs, so there is like a Mackie version which has been updated, but they're not common. It's not something that you'd necessarily find in like the master unit list. They're not going to be present in there. These are mechs that were replaced. They're basically like antiques, and I'm looking at this and thinking like, would I buy this? And let's face it, the answer to that is yes, I am going to buy it. So I'm moaning here like a hypocrite because I will spend money on this. And I always, regardless of what I say here, I'm always massively in support of new BattleTech stuff and Catalyst games in general. So I'm not. This is more a tweak moan than anything else in regards what they've done, or like the wasted opportunity that I think they could have done instead of this. That's how I'd kind of categorise it. But when I'm looking at this and thinking, what can I do with this? The only thing I'd realistically ever want to do is some kind of like weird pirate force, whereby you'd say something along the lines of, a pirate group found like this cache of the first mechs on like a marketing floor at a convention that got buried underground, and they had these, maybe not the Mackie, but the 6, other mechs in there, which were all doing a circus tour across the inner sphere of these, the new battle mechs, that kind of thing. And a pirate force found them and then retrofitted them or whatever else. You could do something fun like that. And the Mackie, I mean, I'm looking at that Mackie and it looks a little bit bland to me. I mean, I've got actually on the shelf behind me there's an old Mackie, one of the old metal models. It's fantastic. It's fantastic because it looks like something like the big Iron Giant, right? It's just this big wad. It's just very thick, and it's got like a big round head and 2 guns on it, and it looks like the first battle mech, right? It's like there's no airs and graces about it. It's very simplistic, and it's got almost like a dynamic pose, like it's stepping forward a little bit. And I love the model actually. It looks huge as well. It looks really big, and I like that. I like it, like, even though it's like undergunned and it's got like it's basically it's the real proto mech, right? Like it's a mech that had so many like new designs on it that they weren't sure if they'd work and everything else. The Mackie here though looks a little bit, it still looks very chonk, but it looks quite static in its pose, and I've got to be honest, like there's too much detail on there for me with that. Like I think the old model, the old metal model, is just so perfect because it's just so like utilitarian, which is exactly how it would be. You'd get no airs and graces on like some kind of prototype model like that. So, and even on this, like you can see all the depths and the rivets and the actuators and stuff like that. Again, even the actuators look far smaller than the ones on the metal model, but I like it that the actuators on the old model were huge because it just looks so like they didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't, So, but again, I'm not going in hard on the model. I mean, the models that Catalyst are doing are fantastic. They'll all be amazing. When you get them, you'll be like, wow, these look incredible. It's just, I think it's unnecessary, is what I'd say. And I would have just so much preferred to have seen like something that I'd consider to be commercially viable, or something that like that carries on from the Comstar Force packs that they'd done previously, where you got the 6 mechs, and they were fantastic. And I think this is the you know, the next wave version of that Comstar pack, because there are 7 mechs in it. You know, there were 6 in the Comstar packs, and I just would have much rather seen like a Word of Blake pack, something like that, something that I knew. You know, you could put mechs in there that were like associated with a Word of Blake, and we may still get that. They may announce something like that on the Kickstarter, which I really hope they do. And if they do, I'd forgive this a lot more as just like a collectible piece or something like that. But I'm just struggling to see what I can do with it, to be honest. I'd be interested to know what other people think as well. Like, if you are a proper dyed-in-the-wool hardcore BattleTech player, is this something that you have always dreamed of having? You know, in which case, again, I'm not here to steal people's thunder. Like, if you are excited by this, wonderful. I hope I buy it and then I'm excited by it myself. But at the moment, it's a bit of a head scratcher as to like what I'm going to do with this, and the potential missed opportunity if we don't get anything like this kind of set where you get like more than a lance or more than a star, and you know, it's a bit more money but you get like more for your buck. And I just want to see, you know, this is just too niche for me. I want to see niche, but not so niche that it's like, well, a new player's just going to look at this and be like, why am I going to buy that? Anyway, moving on, rant over. Next, we got the Urban Mech Lance. Now, I've got no issue with the Urban Mech, right? Like, it's fine. It fulfills like an absolute standard like role within BattleTech, which is, you know, city defender, and it makes a lot of sense for that. It's a cheap mech. It's just basically a very, very cheeky looking, like low level tech with a mech with a gun on it, right? So it's like the mech that you get when you're on a budget, basically. There's absolutely a place in that. And, you know, who doesn't like how the Urby looks? Like, it's very, very derpy and it's fun. Great. Do we need a lance of them? No, we don't. What I would have much rather seen in this, again, it's that like wasted opportunity, wasted retail shelf space. Like the core fan base will absolutely lap this up, and I'm sure that a lot of people just can't wait to get their hands on this. Because if you can see there, all the mechs, all the Urbies have got like different weapons attached on the right hand side. So there's one, I think one's got like an AC-20 on there. There's one with, it might be like the Arrow, is it the Arrow 5 system? Something like that. So my issue with it though is not the pack. The pack within it in itself is interesting. But if you're really into Urbies, right, what you'll do is you'll go and you'll have got loads of them. For, you know, you get the little salvage packs with a singular Urbie in there. And they're pretty cheap, and they had loads of them around at one point. I mean, there was a store in Britain that had like 200 of them in stock. I mean, they've all gone now because the Urbie is popular. But, you know, if you're a massive Urbie fan, you can buy a company of those for like, what, it's like £5 each, something like that. And you can go and you can buy the, like, get 3D rendered prints of the weapons that you want. There are plenty of places that'll do stuff like that. And then you basically just like, you know, I mean, again, if you're that into hobbying and that into BattleTech, I'm going to presume you know how to do like a basic proxy. So, you know, you've got like a scalpel type knife to get rid of the current gun, put some green stuff on there, model it a little bit, glue on whatever component you want, whether it's like a big missile system or whatever else. It's not hard to do. I mean, it just takes a little bit of like tooling and brain power, and it's actually fun to do. I mean, it's, you know, I intend on proxying some mechs in the next Kickstarter. Like just off the top of my head, the Phoenix Hawk 2C, which is a massive assault clan version of the Phoenix Hawks. It's quite odd. There's a version of that I really like that's basically got LRMs all over it. So I'm going to like proxy a version of that mech and, you know, cut it up a little bit, make it a little bit, you know, like dirty, and then like stick LRMs on there. It's basically part of my mercenary units. They've got like a clan attaché, which is effectively like a bandit class unit, or a bandit clan, sorry, unit. And I like to have that, like, you know, I want to make it very ad hoc and strange. So, you know, I'm going to do it myself. And I'm not a big proxy person, but I've got like an intention to do that. I'll actually be using the LRM packs from the Mad Cat that I cut off to make the Bounty Hunter Mad Cat, which doesn't have the LRM 20s on there. So easy to do. A lot of people do it. And again, I'm just looking at this like, like they're catering here to a niche audience because, like, you know, how many people are going to want a company of Urbies? Probably quite a few people, but it's not going to resonate amongst the casual players. I think most casual players are going to be like, why do I want four of these? And again, it goes back to that like lost opportunities really in terms of you know, the product that they're putting out. Next up, we've got the one that I'll be more forgiving on, but I've still got slight issues with. This is the Snords Irregulars Assault Lance, and I'll be honest, I was disappointed when I saw this because I love the Snords Irregulars. I'm just questioning the mechs that they've put in here, really. In of itself, it's great. And I mean, I can't tell you how much I love the Snords Irregulars. They're so fun and they're so interesting and they've got so many good characters. First problem, though, and this is I'll caveat this by saying I don't think they should have put an archer in there because, you know, if you know anything about the Snords Irregulars, the founder of the Snords Irregulars pilots an archer, right? And there's no archer in here, so straight away you're like, well, where's Cranston Snords Mech, right? I actually agree with the decision not to put an archer in there because we get an archer in the Command Lance pack, we get an archer in the Wolf's Dragoons pack, and then we get a specific archer in the Morgan Kell Legendary Pack edition. There's the archer in there. Forgot one. There is an archer in the Alpha Strike box set as well. So we get 4 archers. Some of them are the same version, some of them are different. Like the archer in the Alpha Strike box set is the one with the large lasers on the arms. So it looks quite different from the regular archer, the 2R variant. So fair enough. We don't need another archer. That would be overkill, right? What happens though with Cranston? He actually gravitates up to a bombardier, right? Which is a terrible mech. It's a really, really, really bad mech, but it's fun because it's so bad. And it's what a terrible decision to go from an archer to a bombardier is just like the worst decision you could make in terms of mechs. But that's why Cranston Snord is fun. Now, the argument to offset that is this is a late era Snord's Irregular Lance, right? Which it obviously is. So you're talking here in and around like the Fedcom Civil War era of the Snords Irregulars. Obviously, Cranston was kind of back in the Succession Wars. So you straight away say, well, Cranston's not. You don't need to put him in there. What this Lance is about here is basically Rhonda. Rhonda Snords, his daughter. Rhonda rocks the Highlander. The Highlander's front and centre there. Again, great. I mean, it's a specific variant for Rhonda. It's one of my favourite mechs in BattleTech as well because she straps like speaker systems to the side of it to blare out Elvis music, which is just fun. Again, Snords Irregulars are great. But we've got loads of Highlanders now, right? Like we've got a Highlander in the in one of the Comstar packs. We've got a Highlander in the new Northwind Highlanders pack. So we've now got 3 Highlanders. What we probably needed to, I mean, for me, and again, this is contentious because I really like the early Snords Irregulars books. I would have much preferred to have seen Rhonda's Shadowhawk in here instead. And then, you know, maybe have that period where Rhonda's got a Shadowhawk and then you put the Bombardier in there for Cranston. The other 2 mechs that they've got here as well, again, I've got no issues with the other 2. Well, with the other ones really. One of them I'm a little bit like, yeah, that's very niche. But there's the Guillotine and the Spartan. Spartan is a mech that actually Rhonda's daughter pilots, I believe, during the Fedcom Civil War. So I think they have quite a few Spartans anyway to the Snords Irregulars. So that makes sense, and it looks like a good mech. In that, you know, it looks like a really fun design. Now it's got this quite unique looking because it's got that big, like, you know, almost like that urban mech body with those huge arms. It's, you know, I'll be looking forward to get that one actually. I'm certainly going to buy this one. There's no doubt about that. The Guillotine as well, I'm just going from memory. I think, is it David Rausch pilots that in the Snords Irregulars? So again, fine, put one in there. The one that they've got here though, which I think is so niche, it's slightly, again, going back into the 2 niche category, is they've got, Samuel Shorty Sneed is his name, isn't it? And he pilots the Frankenmech for the Snords Irregulars, which is the Rifleman, the one just at the back here. And I can't zoom in on this really, because I might mess up all my recording settings if I do this. But you can see just here, there's this tiny little piece of plastic. This is this Frankenmech's head, which is it's like a pixie head or something like that. That I don't know, it's in the books, so you can actually glue that on the rifleman, which is quite. I mean, that's fun, right? I mean, I'm not. That's interesting. The problem that I've got with it though is like, how do you then get like I mean, I presume they'll do this. They'll release like this versions of this Frankenmech as a record sheet that you can then print out and play with. I'm pretty sure it won't be on Flex. I mean, I don't think Flex is that niche that they're going to put Frankenmechs in there. I could be wrong, but I'd just be surprised if it was. So if you're a digital player, you might struggle to find this. So it's one of those mechs where I'm looking at it and being like, okay, I don't think I'd actually run this for my Snods Irregulars force, which I do have. I've got like a company of Snods Irregulars. So I don't need this for that. Like I don't, the Highlander I've already painted a pink Highlander for Ronda and a pink Shadowhawk. But absolutely, I definitely think about like, swapping out the Spartan. I might go 2 companies worth for the Snods Irregulars because I do love them that much. Like it could be, worthwhile doing that. But I think the rifleman there might be slightly problematic, so I'd be more inclined to, I think, put that into a pirate force and run it as a pirate mech, something like that. But who knows? So it's not I've got a problem with this. I just think I don't know how they could have done it. I mean, I think the Snods Irregulars are one of those mercenary groups that there's so much written about them and they're so popular that it might have been worth them doing like 2 box set for this over like a year period. Do like an early era Snods Irregulars and then a late era. And I'd be much more forgiving of that, because like in the first one, then they could have released the Bombardier, which is again a terrible mech but very fun. Then as well they could have done like the Shadowhawk for Ronda, things like that. So yeah, okay, I'll buy this. I'll be buying all of these apart from the Urban Mech Lance. I've got absolutely no interest in that. Like they recently did the Urban Mech Company as well. Again, I'm just not interested. So I know a lot of people have this like little fetish thing for Urbies. I don't. I think they're perfectly fine. I own plenty of them, but I don't need a legion of them to make me happy. So next up, I'm going to skip over this quite quickly. This is anything to do with rec guides or TROs, anything like that. I'm always a fan of. This is something that really does like tick my box as well, because this is kind of classic. So this is very much a 30-25 like set here. You can see we've got the old Wolverine here. These are just glorious, really, aren't they? Especially like the Crusader, they're absolutely fantastic. So yeah, that's great. And I don't know if it says in there if they'll be releasing this as a PDF or if it's going to be physical. Guessing PDF, because if it's $35, I presume it's going to be quite big. But I don't know. We'll soon find out. If they release the physical copy, I'll certainly buy this. I don't really get the PDF stuff, not unless there's something really specific that I want in there. I don't usually get them. Now let's talk about one of my main moans on this, and this will be, I think, my last of the main moans. This is the new Neoprene Max. $30 each, so good value. Neoprene, if you don't know, it's this kind of material. This is a TechNet mouse mat, so it's just anything like it's a bit floppy, I think. It's good though. I can imagine that's really, really good for gaming mats because it'll keep very, very static. So it's much better than just regular material. Although I do have quite a few mats, and I've got them. They're really, really good. Like it's really thick material that just doesn't move. It's like, I don't know how they do it. Some kind of fiber that they use, but it just really sticks to the table, which is great for tabletop gaming. So it's not neoprene, but it's something that kind of ticks a similar box. So neoprene in itself, I am a fan of. I definitely think about getting it for other mats, but I'm certainly not going to be buying this one. They've done 2 here, so let's talk about this. So they're doing both the Aerobase 1 and 2. You can just see the strip, like the landing strip there. First point of complaint here, this map is way too small, like a 34-22, and it's been marketed as an Alpha Strike map. You're going to need to buy probably 2 off. If you've got a smallish gaming table, you get 2 of them. If you've got a bigger one, you'll get 4. So straight away, your cost is ramped up into like hundreds of dollars. I'm not particularly, for me, I mean, they're a commercial company. They've got to make money. I've got no issue with them doing that. But I think if you're talking about like if you want to get casual players into this, that's a bit of an ask. I think and even just like having one of these mats is just too small for Alpha Strike. I mean, potentially like you could have a mech that could get like most way across the board with how Alpha Strike movement works. So yeah, yeah, not a fan of that. And I also don't know if they all link together, which again, that's one of my pet hates. Like if people bring like, God forbid, if you ever meet me and you ever play BattleTech with me, never ever bring a paper mat everywhere near me. It triggers me. But it certainly triggers me when people just get 4 random paper mats and you've got like a desert scene, a city scene, and it's just and none of the roads interlink. I'm just like, what is this chaos? It just really really bugs me. It's just me being facetious, really. But if these mats don't do that, if they don't kind of tally up with each other, that's even more disastrous because that's what people are going to have to do. This is my major issue here, though, and this is a major gripe. And I'm like, who okayed this? Like, what are you thinking? They've put 2-dimensional hills and trees on there for what is being marketed as an Alpha Strike product. My silence should speak volumes there. We've literally just got a box set where they've created lots of new buildings, lots of new trees. You get like the little 2D trees, which are fantastic. For a new player, you can play even just on your tabletop. You just get like a green bed sheet, right? You put that across a table, put your stuff on there, and you're ready to go pretty much. You're playing on the grass, right? Or you get like you get tin foil, just put tin foil sheets out across your table. You've got a cityscape, right? Easy. What you can't do with this, well, you can do it, but it just looks ridiculous. Do you want 2-dimensional hills next to 3D terrain and mechs? I mean, that's my entire problem with the whole classic paper sheet situation. When you've got these lovely 3D models on these really cheap or terrible paper mats, just completely takes me out of it. I don't feel like it's an immersive experience. It's something that Catalyst should have fixed years ago. And now they're starting to bring out terrain, and they've still gone back to default position of making these terrible, ridiculously awful-looking 2-dimensional mats. And it's such a tragedy, because I would have bought these up no danger whatsoever if they'd have just had them as, flat mats with some, like, I love that little runway on there, wonderful. But let me put the rest of it on, right? Let me put the airport on there, because I own a 3D airport. I know a lot of people won't, but maybe that's something that people want to aspire to. Maybe people across like the BattleTech community now are ready to move on from 2-dimensional paper mats or neoprene mats. And, if we talk about 3D printing and how 3D printers can really give value and add value to BattleTech, terrain, that's what we need. The mechs are now getting covered. We're getting so many brilliant mechs. These 3D sculpts are amazing that they're coming out with. But we're still lacking on like the fundamentals of creating a hobby game. And I'm so disappointed because they've even gone to create the the new paint set with the army painter, the battle. So they're even like the hobby side of it, they're really kind of pushing hard on, and they've just reverted back to 80s form, 2-dimensional. I mean, just look at the state of those trees. I mean, and I cannot believe they've done it after all the energy that they've expended in getting us these like the building sets and the cardboard building sets and the cardboard trees, which for me, I mean, I'm not using those, right? Like they'll go right on eBay. I've actually got the Alpha Strike box set, but it's up at my mum's house. So I was living there before I moved house. Just there was a bit of short change area of time between me selling the house and buying this one. So I had it delivered there and then just left it up there, and I'll be getting that shortly. But I took the mechs down to the new house, but I left the box and all the cardboard bits because I don't need them. I've got like hundreds of buildings and stuff like that. But someone will absolutely love that and buy that on eBay and be able to have a bigger cityscape on their tinfoil, because they don't have like the resources or they don't have the table space. You can still get a great game of Alpha Strike doing that. You don't need to then buy these mats. So I would imagine that these mats will bomb pretty badly. It's a bad look as well. I just think it's, you know, it's reverting back to bad form. That's how I put it. Anyway, that final point I made there segues me nicely into the next one, which is the CounterStrike pack. This I think is great, and this is what I was talking about previously. You can see the trees here and the building set. They also, you've got things like really interesting stuff here. Like you've got the C system, like the slave master system. Like tokens there, which I think great. That's a great idea that you could put next to a mech that has a C system, just so you remember. In fact, I probably would buy this pack just for that, and then I'll just sell on the all the rest of it, because I think I've got most of this in the Alpha Strike pack anyway. But there's like area of effect templates here. This is all great. The rubble sets as well. Like the one thing that I would maybe use are the rubble cardboard pieces. I mean, I do have my own physical rubble, but the cardboard ones are slightly more useful, because then the mechs can actually just sit on that without any threat of falling over, because obviously 3D rubble is a bit difficult to balance a mech on there. There's the water features there as well, by the looks of it. So this is what they should have been concentrating on. Do this with a neoprene mat, and then speak to a 3D printer distributor and get official BattleTech, 3D renders of terrain, which you can get that unofficially, but I don't know why they just don't sign up one of the big developers and the 3D print space and just do it. It can't be that difficult now. Move away from two-dimensional stuff, please. Next up, we got plushies. If you like that kind of thing, fill your boots. Mostly for kids, I think, or for collectors. This one's interesting. We've got a Destiny Scale Marauder, $245, only released at Adepticon, so that's Adepticon's later this month in March. I love stuff like this. I mean, it just looks amazing. I don't know if I'd ever buy one myself necessarily, because they're very big and they'd be quite difficult to put together and certainly difficult to paint. So not really for me, but I think if you were massively into the collection scene, that could be amazing. So I'm glad they're doing stuff like this. I think it's just great PR for them in general. And then finally, there's two things left. Launch parties here, which I'm not going to discuss, because that's just their events going on. If you want to sign up for one of those, though, please do. One thing I would say that I did note, they've put here that the UK has got two events, one of which is in Ireland. Ireland ain't in the UK. You might want to go in and amend that. You will offend a hell of a lot of people by saying that. That's Ireland's party, or at least just call it Old Europe or whatever, but don't call it the UK. Don't say that the Irish are in the UK. That will go down like a lead balloon. Finally, and this is a good one actually, we're getting the Phoenix Hawk Premium Miniature. Big fan of these little premium miniature projects that they put out. Every few months they release one. It's the only thing I'd say, it's difficult for me to get because they're released through Catalyst. So unless someone bulk buys them in the UK and then sells them, I'm never going to go and buy this from Catalyst because the shipping is just ridiculous. It's ridiculously expensive. So for me, I'm if I get these, I get them. I can also usually, there's a chap at the moment in the US who's collating all the mercenary packs together for me, and some of that might be bought from Catalyst, and then I basically, give him all the shipping fees and pay for everything that I'm getting. So that'll get up to hundreds and hundreds of dollars as well. So I might say to him, if you make an order of Catalyst, can you get a cheeky Phoenix Hawk for me as well? So I might get one that way. But these models are fantastic. The plastic's really good. I've had great success with them thus far. I've got the Hammerhead back there, really, really nice model, and I'd actually welcome them having mechs that you can assemble just on the Force pack, so you can put different poses, things like that. We're getting that a little bit now because the new mercenary packs have those jump streams at the back, so there's a little bit of that going on. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave that here. I feel all riled up now. I don't like doing negative videos either. I'm usually really quite a positive person, and I love everything that Catalyst are doing in general. Just, again, I go back to that. Is this going to be looked at as a wasted opportunity moment? I think we'll know more after the next Kickstarter. So I think when the Kickstarter stuff gets released and we know exactly what forces we can get access to, maybe at that point I'll look back and I'll be a lot more forgiving on that. But, if we don't get anything else other than what they've advertised, I'm going to be a little bit why have you done this? Why have you put these like really niche packs in here when you could have done something so much more interesting? But we shall see, and no doubt I'll be talking about that, either moaning about it or waxing lyrical about it over the next few weeks. Now, fingers crossed, next week I can get back to regular scheduling. So you'll get like a Friday video. Um, I want to do a series on the Draconis Combine because I feel like the Draconis Combine are like post Clan Invasion got slightly lost in the mix. Like they're the big bad guy, right? Like in the Succession War era, and I really want to do a few videos on whether it's like Draconis Combine culture or specifically on the War of 3039, which I really refer to as a lost war. Like it's that time between the end of the Succession Wars. It is the end of the Succession Wars technically, but it's like the lost event between the fourth Succession Wars or the fourth Succession Wars, sorry, which is like in the late 3020s and the Clan Invasion. So I want to give some love to that because it is a fascinating period in BattleTech history that I think gets massively overlooked. Anyway, I shall leave that here. Rant over. Hopefully back to positivity from henceforth. And I will hopefully catch you again next time.